Well, we're waiting a little bit. There's train tracks right before I get to my garage, and I have to say I get caught like this sometimes, but I don't mind. It's kind of fun watching the train go by. All right, take care, y'all. Hey everybody, just wanted to give you an update about what's going on. I'm working on the 2003 Subaru Legacy, and the history with this car, I mentioned in a few the past videos. Got it cheap, $400. Timing belt had broken was the story. I went ahead and put the timing belt back on. There was actually one with the car. Drove it about 1,000 miles. I knew before I purchased it that the head gaskets were leaking and eventually they would need to be done. So started to lose coolant. You can look under the vehicle, a lot of oil leaking, coolant dripping as well. So I figured it was time. So what I've been working on is stripping down the engine, getting ready to pull it out, and that's the plan for today. Just wanted to give you a quick overview. I went ahead and pulled the radiator and the cooling fans on another car. I have a Subaru Forester. I left the radiator in and it was just a little bit tight, and it ended up, actually, as I was pulling the engine, I ended up damaging that radiator. So I figured just be safe, try it this way, this time get a little bit more room. I've pulled off the intake, and I don't know, I've thought about plugging these off. I'm going to pull the heads and take them to a machine shop anyway. I'm not too worried about things dropping down in there at this point. I may still plug them off with paper towels. Let's see, power steering pump is here. I've got the AC compressor over on the other side. Starter's up there. I didn't remove it all the way. It's got a little clip wire on there. I just went ahead and left it. I'm just about ready to pull the remaining transmission to engine bolts. There are a couple of nuts underneath at the very bottom of the engine and transmission, and I got those off yesterday. One is really tricky. That's driver's side, the lower bolt. So those are actually some studs, sorry, the lower nut on some studs. And again, on the other engine, the Subaru Forester, where I pulled this, I actually ended up pulling the front driver's side axle out just so I could access that nut. It's just very tight in there. This time I got under there. I've got this vehicle up on quick jacks, and I don't know if that's easy to see. Here's all my junk on the table. As I'm trying to catalog things, put things in baggies as I've taken them off. The other accessories here. Anyway, put the quick jacks up to the highest setting, got under there with a wobble socket, and was able to break free that nut. That is just, there's just not much clearance under there. Other side, passenger side, no problem at all. So again, getting ready here. I brought the engine hoist over today. If you've ever had to transport one of those, it's no picnic. I didn't have a whole lot of trouble. Just put it in the back of the truck. It's a little bit heavy, of course, and you really have to watch yourself. I could have disassembled this a little bit more. These legs actually will disconnect, but I left them on there. But you can give yourself a pretty good clunk with those if you don't watch out. So anyway, wrestled it into the garage here, and we'll get ready to go. So maybe at this point be back in a few moments, and I'll show you what I'm doing next. Hi everybody, hope you're doing good. When I last left off, I was getting ready to pull this engine out of a 2003 Subaru Legacy, and as you can see, I was successful. I didn't film all of that. Now, I'll tell you why in a moment. We ran into some, I would say challenges. Nothing awful, but it went a little different than I expected. I do have the engine out. I've just got the heads back from the machine shop. I can show you those as well. So we're getting ready for reassembly. I want to clean up the engine block a little bit. I've got a head gasket set. I've got a new timing kit. Picking up various bits and pieces. So we're getting close. I'm hoping the next couple days I'll be able to put this guy back together and hopefully get it back into the car. So anyway, as I was pulling the engine, I've done one of these before on a Subaru Forester in 1999, and it went pretty well. I did that in my backyard in the heat of the summer, and it was kind of a bear just because of that. I had a tarp over myself at some points just to stay out of the heat and try to, not get burned to a crisp. But with this engine pull, everything went really good. Had it all chained up, had the hoist here ready to go. Could not easily get the engine to separate from the transmission. So these points here just were not separating at all. And what I ended up doing, and I don't think this is really recommended, but I wasn't sure what else to do. I took a big old screwdriver, hammer, and I beat in these sections a little bit. Of course, I'm worried about cracking the housing of the transmission, damaging the engine housing. It did finally start to separate. So I was like, oh great. And I got a little bit maybe too excited, started to yank on this thing, and as I was pulling the engine out, this guy, the torque converter, started to pull out. And if you look at different internet write-ups, videos, whatever, they say that's a bad thing, don't let that happen. Well, I tried to push it back in a little bit. It was basically fused to the engine, I guess the block, if you will. So this whole torque converter just started to inch out until finally it tipped. Of course, I'm balancing the engine with the hoist and the chains, of course, but I ended up just taking that torque converter off. In the process, automatic transmission fluid spilling all over, so it was a kind of a disaster. But what I found, and we'll see, I've been looking for specs on this, trying to figure out if I've done it right. I was able to fit that torque converter back in. Again, if you look on the internet, there's all kinds of pages. People make special tools, there's resources. People will talk about parting out a vehicle because they can't get the torque converter to fit back in right. It'll oftentimes fit into a point where you've got about an inch hanging out here. That's not enough. As you mate up the engine to the transmission, ready to install, it won't fit. You'll force it and you'll ruin the internals of the transmission. There's an oil pump in there. But again, this guy turns free. I'm just turning it here to show you. And I don't know, you let me know. Sneak around here. I've been measuring with a micrometer and eyeballing it and looking for specs. And get right in there. I'm trying to decide, is that enough? People say, it's enough if between the flex plate on the engine and that torque converter sticking out, if they'll mate up, as long as you don't force it, it'll push back together. That is the engine and transmission, and you just bolt it together. So without finding any good specs, and I'll look a little bit more, I think it's seated, and I'm going to give it a try. Worst case scenario, and I don't really want to do this, I'll have that engine on a hoist. I'll try to mate it up. It won't mate. What you'll find is perhaps that torque converter will bind up. So that's the deal. You need to have it spinning loose, and then you can put those torque converter bolts back. That'll bolt to the flex plate on the back of the engine. So as long as that goes, and my understanding is bolting that flex plate back up to the torque converter, that'll actually pull the torque converter out just a hair. So we'll see. As long as everything turns free, I'm gonna go with it. I just hope I haven't damaged anything internally, and of course I've got to remember to top up the automatic transmission fluid a little bit. So as I say, didn't go as expected. Engine didn't separate easily. That was the same on the Subaru Forester. I think I had to encourage that one a little bit with a big screwdriver as well when I did that last engine pull. But the torque converter coming out, that was a special deal. I wasn't prepared for that. Last thing, more just stupid than anything. Here's the engine block. I don't know if you'll be able to see. There's a sensor right here. I've got it actually loose right now. That's the coolant temperature sensor. It goes on, so this is the top of the engine here. It goes on to this coolant cross pipe. Well, I don't know if you can tell, but that thing is just torn to pieces. One of my chains, which I had hooked actually to the intake, one of the intake places where it bolts up, my chain must have just hit that guy, and of course I chewed it up, and I said, let's get a new one. That was about I think from the dealer, those things are 40 bucks. Find them online, maybe $27, $30, then you got to pay shipping. So it's a little bit of a costly mistake and stupid. But anyway, I got a new one. What I've been working on, I've got the cylinder heads off. I know there's all kinds of controversy about this. I've been trying to very gently wipe up the carbon deposits here. Of course, I need to work on cleaning this mating surface a little bit more. I've been trying to do a little bit of work on it, and you know, getting it clean. Just a little bit more work. I've been using for that mostly. I use a little bit of WD-40 and anything that's non-abrasive. So just wiping cloths, microfibers. I've used these plastic razor blades. Now they don't do much, and they seem to kind of poop out fairly quickly. But I don't know if you can see the edge of this one is already all a little bit torn up. But I don't want to damage the mating surface or scar it up in any way. So a little bit more cleaning there. As I say, we're getting close. Table of all kinds of items, rocker arms here, various components. Things fill up pretty fast. As I say, it's organized in my mind, but it probably looks like a complete jumble if you're just checking this out. Here's the valve cover gaskets. I actually took these and used an industrial dishwasher and cleaned them up. There was just sludge like you couldn't believe in these things. Same with the rocker arms. They're not quite all cleaned up yet. Same with the what are called the camshaft or cam caps. Oh my goodness! And even the cylinder heads, they were a mess. So this is how that valve cover comes out of the dishwasher. Pretty good. And this other guy, I've done a little bit of wiping on, so you can see that, maybe just a little bit of brake cleaner and clean up a little bit more. So even with a real high pressure, high temperature detergent wash, that sludge is still not coming off. It's kind of dry and flaky now. So I'll clean that up a little bit more. Oh, what else? Again, got all kinds of things. New valve cover gaskets. This is actually a kit from Felpro, so they've got more than I need. Little spark plug grommets here. I've got oil seals for the camshafts, cam caps. I bought a little PVC pipe. I don't know if I've got that somewhere to help install those. There's a pretty good video on you can get a special tool, or you can just buy the right size of PVC. Obviously you can just use a big socket on those as well. These are Felpro Permatorque MLS gaskets. I'm not going to go into any detail. I used these once before on my Subaru Forester and had really good luck. That car 3 or 4 years later, and 3 years maybe, running great. Not a drop of oil, no problems. Some people say use the Subaru OEM. I really had trouble finding out which kit to order from Subaru, or which gaskets that were going to be the good ones, that were going to be the revised ones. So that was a little bit of trouble. People like, what are they, 6-star gaskets? There's a few others. So I'm not the person to ask. But again, just from my experience, had good luck with these Felpros. Oh, what else? Here's the cylinder heads. They've gone to the machine shop, cleaned them up. I've removed the camshaft here, rockers, and the cam cap, it's called, just so they could have access. They've done pressure testing, did a nice cleanup. I don't know how much I want to play with this guy to mess it up. They've done a nice resurfacing of these as well. The guy actually told me they weren't really that bad. What does that mean? Were they flat or not? But they tend to just shave off a little bit. But they're ready to go. So I'm excited about that. Just put them back together here. I think the plan is probably over the next couple days, I'm just going to do a little bit of organization and cleaning, which I seem to do a lot of these days. Sort of get ready, prepare. Next couple of days, I think I'm just going to come in here 4 or 5 hours and just have fun. To me, this is just I just get a lot of joy out of doing this. It's very different from my work in some ways, not in others. But when I get out of work, I'll pop into this place and you know, it's just like just fun. So anyway, as I say, next couple days, I'm just going to put in some time. We'll see how far we get. Do some more cleanup on the engine block, as I say. Install the cylinder heads, torque them down. Here's the cam caps. And again, those went through my dishwasher as well, and there's camshafts, which I did not run through the dishwasher. I don't think I want to do that. But these cam caps were just sludged up. They look a lot better. I could still do a little bit more work there. These recesses were just full of oil sludge. It was awful. Let's look at the other one. Yeah, this one might be a little bit dirtier. You can still see there's some deposits on there. I'll probably give it a good wipe down and clean up, maybe just with some brake cleaner, just to get it ready. But we're getting set. We're getting set. I don't know when I'll update next. Again, this is, as I've said a couple times, you can find a lot of great how-to videos, torque specs, that kind of thing. This is more just updates, just as a hobbyist, having fun. I want to show you what's going on. And anyway, hope you've enjoyed it. We've got beautiful weather here today. It just snowed overnight. We're at nearly the end of April. It's April 21st, and again, it's a nice sunny day. But snow was snowing just about an hour ago, and it snowed overnight. We got probably a couple inches. It's all melted off. Anyway, I hope wherever you are, you're doing good, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Okay, take care.